All right, welcome to this weekly recap. First of all, I apologise for not missing a few weeks. I've been on holiday and also I've been focusing on my family. My son's currently 19 months old, and as you can imagine, things are pretty crazy when they're in the toddler stage. So I'm going to get back to creating these. And to be honest, we've not had the greatest price action, especially with what's happening with the US and Iran war. But I'll talk through what happened this week. It was an intraday win. And I'll talk you through my thinking and my skepticism on why I didn't want to go long on DXY and short on EU straight away. Okay, so I'm going to take this really back to the basics, but in terms of bias, I had this weekly fair value gap here, bullish order flow. So we're very, very bullish. We're respecting weekly fair value gap here, weekly fair value gap here. We've also created another one. And I'm always asking myself, well, what's it seeking, right? And I know that price action likes to seek one of two things, which are fair value gaps or liquidity. Now, if I look on the weekly, we can see quite clearly we've got liquidity here, which likes to rest at highs and lows. And also, if I go onto the monthly, for my strategy, I use multi-time frame analysis. We've also got a monthly fair value gap here as well. So in terms of bias, I think it's very clear that DXY does want to come higher, right? And initially my bias was, something like this, coming into here and then pushing away, targeting this liquidity and monthly fair value gap. But my skepticism is as follows, right? So I'm just going to play, what day are we on now? So I'm just going to next week, the actual trading week. It's here. Right, so I'm just going to go on to the 4 hour. I'm just going to talk about the weeks prior, okay? So this is the 4 hour, and this is where US and Iran start kicking off again, all right? So it's been up and down. Apparently they're having a peace deal. Then they're not, and it's all kicked off. They're dropping missiles left, right, and center. And you can see this price action is horrible, right? You can really see, all these 4 hour fair value gaps are getting disrespected. We have, 4 hour bullish fair value gaps here. They get ran through. We've got them bearish ones. They get ran through. We've got bullish ones. They get ran through. We've got a bearish one here. They get ran through. We've got a opening gap here. Gets disrespected. And we've got a bearish fair value gap here, and that gets disrespected. So it's a lot of consolidated, very, very messy price action, okay? So my skepticism is that we have been inside this weekly fair value gap for 1-2 weeks, okay? And if even if I play it forward, let's go on to so this is the trading week. So 2 weeks we've been inside it, and we've not pushed away yet, okay? You can see quite clearly on the weekly, 1 week and 2 week I've tapped into it, and we've not really pushed away. I know you're seeing this right now, that's because I'm in replay mode, but if I play it forward, you'll know that it comes down. My skepticism is if I look on EURUSD here, it's created a weekly fair value gap very similar to DXY, but it hasn't tapped it, right? So this week didn't tap it, and this week. So DXY, the last 2 weeks, has been inside this weekly fair value gap, but EU hasn't. And that raised suspicion on myself that I think EURUSD and DXY do want to get in alignment. I know they're inversely correlated, but they want to get in alignment in terms of the opposites, okay? So I was a bit skeptical that this hasn't tapped, right? And remember, my bias going into this week is actually bullish on DXY. But because I had that skepticism in the back of my head, I let Monday play out and I waited for a bit extra confirmation before looking for a potential trade. And thankfully I did. If I go to the 4 hour, what are we on now? We're on Monday. So Monday has pretty much played out. Let's go to Tuesday. You can see Tuesday displaces, right? So again, I've mentioned all these 4 hour fair value gaps getting disrespected, and it's happened again, right? You can see here. We have this bullish one. If that was respected, it would have pushed higher, right? That didn't happen. Tuesday played out, and now we've created another bearish one. So it's happened again. Now, this displacement down helped me to look at EURUSD to go higher, right? So Euro has actually now created this 4 hour fair value gap here. okay? 4-hour fair value gap here. We've got this weekly fair value gap here. We've got rest and liquidity all up here as well, okay? So when I saw the move on DXY, that helped me build the narrative to actually wanting to come lower. And I was looking for this liquidity here, which is a previous weekly low, as a potential target, okay? So we've got a 4-hour fair value gap here now. At the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, Euro tends to get in alignment with DXY, and right now it's not, okay? So what happened, I let Tuesday play out, and Wednesday, we get a potential intraday position. And what I'm looking for is a reaction from this 4-hour fair value gap. Now we have news coming out on this day. I think it's PPI and also Fed Chair. I'm going to talk about Fed Chair because that's important as well. But as price action comes in, we come into this 4-hour fair value gap here. Just let it play out. There, so it's coming to the 4-hour fair value gap. Let's play it back. And at this point, on Wednesday, I'm looking for a potential trade idea, okay? It is London session. I've noticed intraday positions tend to create more in New York session. And, you know, I waited, we had news as well, so I'm going to wait anyway. New York session news tends to come out more. So at this point, I'm looking on the 15-minute. I know news is coming out, I think it's 1:30, I believe. Yeah, 1:30. And I'm waiting for my confirmation. So I'm just letting this play out. And just here, that is when news came out. So right there is my entry confirmation, okay? We're now displacing away from this 4-hour fair value gap. If I go into EURUSD, we've also displaced away from its 4-hour fair value gap, just in the opposite direction. Now, my initial entry was this. It was 17 pips, like so. And I'm in the trade about this candle here, right? So I'm in this price action. And then when this prints, this candle here, I just looking around on my my laptop, and I noticed that we've actually got a speech coming out. So this speech here, I was like, oh crap, I've completely forgot about that. And I'm thinking, what do I do? Now with intraday positions, the stop losses are more smaller, and we know news can be volatile depending on what's been said, especially in the speech. So I made the decision to come out of this trade here, okay, for about a $34 gain, okay? It wasn't great whatsoever. So I came out of the trade. I mentioned inside the community, and in fact, I will show you that now. Let me just get this up for you whilst I think it's important to show. Here we are. I'll show you this. But you can see here that potential intraday. This is the 4-hour fair value gap that I'm thinking of. This is where I'm thinking high of the days in. And I just remembered news at 3. It's a speech. Came out of a gain of $34. I like the idea, but stop loss is too small, okay? So at this point here, that's my actual position on EU. That's the 30-minute chart. Okay, so if we go to the 30-minute, just so you can see like for like, but basically that is it. Go back to Discord. That is it, okay? So I'm in this position, came out for $34, and I start watching the speech online. And what I soon realized is actually it's not so much about the economy or decisions being made, etc. The Fed chair is being basically hammered on where he got a certain amount of money before he came into office. And also there was lots of things said about Trump as well, okay, and artificial intelligence. So I started to realize actually this is probably not going to impact the markets that much. It might not be volatile. So I let it play out a little bit more, and what I made the decision is I'm going to re-enter at a later time. So if I just play this forward a bit more, so it's at 3:30. I got back in. So yeah, so just about here, just before that move, and I noticed there's a 1-hour fair value gap that I did protect, and my stop loss is now 20 pips. Like so, and I'm targeting this weekly fair value gap for about a 2R. I could still get the 2R. So I re-enter here. I'm in the position, and then when the speech starts wrapping up, that's when the market also knows. Like here, you can see this is where the speech is coming out. What's being said. And then when the speech starts to wrap up, it's 3:30 at this point. They last about an hour, and then you can see eventually it takes off in the direction. Okay, so that is basically the trade. You'll see that on the screen now, and that is the only trade I took for this week. I've been noticing there's been more intraday positions recently, and the reason for that, I believe, is simply because if you go into DXY, the targets, the ranges are much smaller. So this is made up of several weeks, a few weeks, and the ranges are very, very small. Again, probably because of what's happening with the war. In terms of the target for that trade idea, it was from this 4-hour fair value gap. We had a high of the day situation, intraday trade here. So for an intraday, I'm looking for high of the day or low of the day. For a swing position, I'm looking for high of the week or low of the week, okay? So that was basically the move, right? So here, that was the displacement initially. And what I was doing is targeting this target here, which is a previous weekly low on DXY. And on EURUSD, it was this weekly fair value gap. Again, my suspicion was that EURUSD and DXY were out of alignment. And from trading the weekly edge, I know that they tend to like to get in alignment, okay? So that was basically in a nutshell. Only one trade, intraday position, that's pretty much it. I think going into next week, I think there's going to be a good swing position, potentially, depending on what happens. The only downside is that we've not got much high impact news, but you never know, it could potentially happen. So yeah, that was basically it. It was a nice clean trade. It did move quite quickly as well, which was really, really good. It was pretty much made up of 2 4-hour candles, really, really clean. And yeah, it was a good position. So that is pretty much it. Also, for transparency, I know I've not uploaded this video. Again, I've been on holiday, etc. I can't remember what date it was exactly. I think it might be, no, it's not that week. Let's have a look. I'm just going the 4-hour very quickly. I think it might be this move here that I took I think I took a long here 1 week, something like that. And as you can see, I got stopped out here when I was on holiday. So yeah, last week I did lose a trade, or the week before that, should I say. And yeah, basically that was a red week. But thankfully I was caught back this week. So yeah, that was pretty much it. It was a good week. Although price action has been horrible, hopefully we get better price action. If you got any questions on this, let me know. If you got any questions about trading or the trading mentorship, you can reach out to me on social media. You'll see some links inside YouTube as well. You can check them out. But for now, I'll see you next week. And yeah, for another weekly recap. See you soon.